About 5 months ago, like Rosie was saying, my world pretty much just came crashing down. And I knew that if I didn't drop everything and come back here, come back to God, that the devil was going to take me out and that I was going to spend eternity in hell. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard me just share before, basically, how I knew God and walked away, and how I was given over to a reprobate mind and began to fulfill the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. One thing that I really couldn't break off of me, when I gave my life back to God, and, He set me free from addiction, from homosexuality, from depression, from all these, spirits. One thing that I was holding on to was condemnation, and I went around and I felt like, I hate myself, and I was saying these things, and I know Andrea was witness to it. She was helping me with Advocare, and even, other people just knew what I was struggling with, Kathy, Ashton. And I was just going around and, and then I started just keeping it to myself, and literally would just stand in the mirror and just want to scratch my face. And I was just like, I hate myself, for who I allowed myself to be, and for walking away from what God had called me to be. And then when Bob preached his message on idolatry, I came to the realization that that was just an illusion that the devil wanted me to believe, because the root issue was really that I worshipped myself, and that I was my own God, and I was living a life of self-idolatry even as a Christian. So God began to deal with me, and it's been crazy because I began to testify about that, even in my home, and to Kathy and to Erica, and just share the revelation that God had given me. And immediately the level of spiritual warfare in my life increased, where I can't really explain it, but just the attack became so much more intense, where, at times I'll just wake up at 3 a.m. and I'll shake, and I'll just begin to intercede, whether it's for my family or, for those of you that are, that come in here and feel paralyzed. I know what that feels like. Just come in and feel paralyzed, and like you have a clamp on your tongue, because the devil knows that God has a calling for your life. And if the devil can clamp your tongue and put you in that state of paralyzation, then he's won the battle. So this week, God began to show me little things in my life that I needed to do. And the devil knows what I struggle with, and so I kind of had a fork in the road, and I had a decision to make about little things like, Deanna, you've been holding bitterness towards your mom for 10 years. You need to talk to her about it. You need to let that go. And I know that some people are afraid to, confess bitterness that they have toward other people, because they're afraid they're going to be rejected, or that person's not going to forgive them. And for me, I know my mom's living for God, I knew that she would forgive me, but it was a security blanket. To me, I didn't want to let go of that hurt. I didn't think I hated my mom. I didn't think that I was bitter toward her. I just thought, oh, I'm hurt by her, and I need to hold on to that. And so I called my mom on Tuesday night, and as I began to share with her how I felt, I don't know, it was just amazing. We talked for an hour and a half, and she was able to share with me, the warfare that, she was going through, and what she did, and that she would sit in my bed. Even when she sent me away when I was 14, she would sit on my bed and just war for 5 hours, a night, just praying for my soul. So I thank God, He brought a lot of restoration and a lot of healing between my mom and I on Tuesday night. And then this week, this is kind of a small thing, but it resulted in a big thing. This week, God was like, go through those pictures. And when I came out here and I got saved back in April, I ended up getting so sick and wanted to throw up at a church service here, where I started manifesting, and I got so sick that when everyone left, I pulled my car out back, and I just threw everything that I owned in the car, a laptop, everything. I didn't care anymore, And I knew that I had to go to that extreme. I didn't care what it was. I didn't even want to think about it, whether it looked good or felt good or whatever. The books, even a dictionary, okay, I might have stole that. I'm going to throw it away. Every single thing I owned, almost every single thing. And then before I moved down here, I thought I had thrown these pictures away. And I just kept, suppressing, what God was trying to do and ignoring it and getting distracted and getting busy. And then I just began to get tormented this week where I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and those pictures would be in my mind, and I was afraid to go through them. And the thing is when I went through them, I just began to weep and I began to shake, and I knew that God wanted to deliver me from this, but I was fighting him and I was being prideful and I didn't want to let go. And I was like, no, those ones aren't bad. There's no alcohol in them or whatever, and I was trying to justify it. And then God began to speak to me and say, behold, I make all things new. Not just some things, not just the things that look like sin, but even those things that in my own human mind, I might say, you know what? I know that's not sin. And that's pride, that's prideful of me to say that. In my own human mind, I know that's not sin, but it doesn't matter because God said it and we must obey. So last night I said, Carla, do you have a fire pit? And she was like, yeah, you want to burn stuff. So I went over there. And after Tribe of Issachar, I began to throw these pictures away. I literally cut myself away from these women that I had fornicated with, and I just cut every little detail, any part of my body that touched their part, or anything. I just cut every little detail away, and I began to throw them in the fire. And as I did that, I began to shake and I began to weep, but it wasn't because I wanted that. It was because I felt like God was just breaking things off of me. And God began to remind me that He's gonna He's gonna restore the years that the locust has eaten. So I don't really know what else to say except that God is faithful. I know that in this decision, I began to speak forth negatively. I began to just decide in my heart when everyone's sleeping, I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna run away. But I knew that. I was even telling Erica, I don't want to leave because I want to grieve God and I want to go back to the way that I was. There was just something holding me back from just going to that next level. And so I was listening to this prophetic song by Jason Upton it was kind of like what Sharonda was singing too, about Paul and Silas in the jail cell. And the song goes like this. It goes, you can chain our hands and you can bind our tongues, but as long as we're free, we won't be denied our right to testify till all are notified that Jesus Christ is Lord. And that's what I'm standing on today.